Miami Hurricanes suffering their first conference loss of the season to the Tar Heels. Now have a pivotal matchup against the Seminoles, and the Miami Dolphins heading into their bye week. Say it with me now. First place in the AFC East. Well, tied. Let's go in the bleachers. The Dolphins were able to squeak by the Rams this past Sunday and now head into the bye week at 3-3, tied for first in the AFC East. Wow, nice to say that. I'll give you a bye week report plus my grade as far as how well they're doing this season so far. I'll go over the Canes and Noles matchup, give you the stats and the players that you need to know. But first, Canes and Tar Heels. Well, despite 15 penalties for 141 yards for the North Carolina Tar Heels, they were able to beat your Miami Hurricanes 18-14, giving Miami their first loss in conference play. Remember, they're in the ACC Coastal Division. Let's take a look at the numbers. Stephen Morris had a solid game. He had 155 yards and a rush TD. He did throw 2 picks. Unfortunately for him, with about 8:26 left in the game, he left with a left ankle injury. As of this taping, he is listed as doubtful for the Florida State game. I'll get more into that when we do the FSU preview. Ryan Williams got 80 yards. He was 9-13, filling in quite nicely for him. Mike James, the lone bright spot, really, 96 yards and a touch. Again, rushing defense for the Miami Hurricanes, doing them in. 177 yards for Giovanni Bernard, 2 touches. Homecoming for him. He went to St. Thomas Aquinas, Fort Lauderdale. Not shown here, Bryn Renner, he threw for 214 yards and a pick. Lamar Morris also filling in nicely, 10 rushes, 77 yards, as now Miami is 88 against the run. And now they have 1 loss along with 4 other teams that include North Carolina, Virginia Tech, and Duke. But thankfully, the Hurricanes have 1 more win, but they got to keep it up if they have any chance of winning this Coastal Division. Well, we've been waiting for this for a while. A meaningful Florida State-Miami game. Florida State coming in 6-1. Their 1 lone loss coming to NC State. They made up for it in a big way, destroying Boston College 51-7. And again, your Miami Hurricanes also with 1 loss. Let's take a look a little bit more in depth into the FSU Seminoles. As I mentioned, their lone loss came against NC State. They lost only 17-16. But take a look at this. 4th in points allowed at 11.6 points per game. They're 6th in points scored, which is bad for Miami because they are 96 in points allowed. They've allowed over 30 points a game. Also the top 20 in total offense at over 530 yards. Some of the guys you need to look out for: the senior E.J. Manuel having a great year, over 1,800 yards. He is 13-2 in his last 15 games. Junior Kenny Shaw, 16 receptions for 350 yards and 3 touches. Also look out for freshman Kelvin Benjamin. He has been a force himself. Not shown here, the 2 running backs for this FSU squad. Senior Chris Thompson, he has 640 yards and 5 touchdowns. Sophomore James Wilder Jr., but also 320 yards and 6 touchdowns. Miami is looking to avoid their first 3 straight losing streak since the end of 2010. And again, the defense has allowed 32 yards 5 times, over 498 yards 4 times this season. It's not looking good. Whether you have a hobbled Stephen Morris, remember, he's dealing with a left ankle injury. Even though he practiced on Wednesday, he's listed as doubtful. So you're either going to have a hobbled Stephen Morris or you're going to have a Ryan Williams. He's only had a few days to practice this week with the first team. Either way, FSU just has the speed to match Miami. They should be able to run the ball up and down against the squad. Miami will give it a good fight, but I think the Seminoles will take it 38-16. I think it's a little bit close in the beginning, but they're going to pull it away at the end. The Seminoles will go on and give Miami their 2nd ACC loss this year. Despite the Dolphins being outgained in total offense, 462-192, and only getting 36 yards rushing, they were able to squeak by the Rams 17-14, running the record to 3-3, tied for first in the AFC East heading into the bye week. Let's go a little bit more into the numbers. Ryan Tannehill had another solid game. He had 185 yards and 2 touchdowns. Sam Bradford, 315 yards, had an awful looking rush TD, nearly broke his back in the process. Daryl Richardson and Steven Jackson combined for 22 rushes, 128 yards. They did a great job against what was then the #1 ranked defense in the league in your Miami Dolphins. They are averaging 78 yards and giving up. Hartline, surprisingly, no targets in this game, no catches. He did have a few in the game, but they were called off due to the penalty. As I mentioned before, because bears repeating again, the Dolphins 3-3, tied for first in the AFC East. You can't say that enough. It's been a great season for the Dolphins, all things considered. Rookie quarterback Ryan Tannehill. They're going to be sensing a common theme here as I go into my bye week report right now. The team numbers not shown, just real quick. 12th in rushing, 119 yards, 21st in passing. Great on the defensive end as far as rushing allowed, 78, but they have trouble with their passing defense at 27. But as you see here, Ryan Tannehill over 1,400 yards, 4 TDs, 6 picks. Reggie Bush doing a pretty good job on the ground, averaging 4.4 yards a carry. He has 3 touches. Despite not doing anything at all in the last game, Warren Hartline, who was your NFL leader in yards at one point, 514 yards, a touchdown. Rashard Jones has 2 picks. Cameron Wake, 6.5 sacks. Now, when you look at this Dolphins offense, you really didn't expect anything as far as their receiving core. You got Brian Hartline, you had Javon Best, you tried a little bit of experiments. They picked up Anthony Armstrong off of waivers in Washington before the season began. They tried to work out a thing with Dwayne Bowe, possibly getting him from the Kansas City Chiefs. That didn't really pan out. They did sign Jabbar Gaffney. They're going to try to work him into the fold. Overall, with the rushing that's been pretty good, the passing that has been steady, and Tannehill can keep the turnovers to a minimum, which he started to do in the past couple weeks. I think this Dolphins team could do a little something, do a little damage. I had them pegged at 6-10. I'm gonna bump them up, say that they're gonna finish the season 7-9. Overall, I give them a B-. Their defense is coming along. This is pretty much everybody thought, but their offense has produced a bit more than everybody thought. Again, Tannehill, solid season so far with the 6 picks. But when you look ahead, their next 6 opponents, Jets, Titans, Colts, Bills, Seahawks, and then the New England Patriots, which a lot of people will peg for a loss. But you look at all those matchups beforehand, you look like you can get at least 2 or 3 wins heading into that pivotal AFC East matchup against New England. So anything is possible for this ball club, but it's looking good heading into the bye week again, at least for now, tied for first in the AFC East. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of In the Bleachers. I am Daniel Spidey Rivera. As always, In the Bleachers is presented by 247miami.tv. Visit our Facebook page. It's right here on your screen. You can give me your opinions, your comments, your likes. Please, as always, share. Until next time, enjoy the weekend of games, enjoy your week, and stay true, guys.